All right. It's your boy Smokey. Thank you for joining me. This is a different kind of intro because this series is kind of, personally, it just feels long having to cover this stuff. I'm tired, but this is Smokey approved. Korea, thank you for joining me. We are finishing our series on racism in Korea. But we gotta deal with this. So my boy Foreign Land, but Foreign Man in Foreign Land is, I believe, the main channel he has. But this one comes from, I believe, his sub channel or a secondary channel called Foreign Fridays. So he's got a video called Racism in the Korean Community. I felt like it would be a better video to cover what we've already kind of seen a side bit of that from the BTS video I did the day prior. So we're going to watch this now to have a wider spectrum, and also from a person that I think is better well-versed to kind of cover the topic, to give us a little bit more of a nuanced approach on what is happening over there and what is the situation. And that's what we're doing. So thank you guys very much for joining me. If you could please hit that like, subscribe, Patreon's in the description, and let's get into this.
Yeah, that's their actual name. The UTI show speed running their career right now.
Black men.
You ain't gonna believe why. The UTI, yeah, that's their actual name. The UTI show is speed running their career right now.
Black men are known to have larger, so therefore the women have,
that makes sense,
bigger holes.
Oh God! Yes, apparently be taking calipers to coochies and coming up with new.
The facts that people still use eugenics or eugenics like style thinking for things is just really fire. It's really dumb. It's really dumb.
New phrenology and eugenics. But what if I told you that this is bigger than a misguided podcast? This dude made a whole drought season 1 through 3 rapping on beats, and y'all just let that slide. Honestly, y'all been moving like OTF. Today we tackling the tension between Korean and Black communities on today's Foreign Friday.
As a foreign man in a foreign land.
I am like limited in my lateral movements. I woke up this morning with not only a stiff but also a stiff neck. And like I swear, like I don't know what I do to the Lord. I must steal from the church. I'm gonna start you from the end, and then we're gonna work our way back to the beginning.
I want to take this time to address something that has deeply affected many of you. And I want to be completely transparent. I am going to be reading from a prepared statement.
Yeah, no, T-Dub, for real. The podcast is named Under the Influence, abbreviated UTI.
Last, I discussed a TikTok video that perpetuated dangerous stereotypes, and I know now that I shouldn't have ever brought up those views, even for discussion.
It was okay for me to have those feelings about them. Like, it was okay when they stayed in the drafts, but when I brought it up, that was the problem.
Especially Black women.
Those that hold Black vaginas, if you have ever been in proximity with white dudes in particular, and use a Black dude, and they of course assume that you've been with Black women, had sex with Black women, have indulged and baptized your head inside the fountain of ooh, white dudes will come up and ask you unprovoked. They will like legit just come to you and be all like, listen, I hear that it's just different. Bruh. There's a mystical properties assigned to Black women and femmes for some reason.
It's called fetishism. They fetishize something that they consider to be exotic, even though if you look up the definition of what exotic is, actually that's not actually a good word either. Like using exotic to speak of another person is not a good word. But yes, the fantasizing and fetishism of, we'll say, minority groups, but especially Black men and women, are like, it's a long thing. We'll be here all day for that.
Right? That's one thing. Like, they all think that Black women, especially from the Caribbean, they assume that all Black women are just Rihanna and change and whips excite me and all that, right? But they also assume that like the vagina itself has magical properties by virtue of it being a melanated vagina, that it has to be different. Ain't nothing specific or endemic to Black women to make their parts different from anybody else's parts. Kimberly is... Big up yourself, Kimberly.
After my initial apology, I took the time to look at the responses and understand why my work...
I took a time to look at the responses and realize I was getting cooked. And I said, oh, I could just be able to say sorry inside this video. No, I have to make a whole dedicated video. Now realizing after reading the comments, calling me everything but a child of God, that I was wrong.
I aim for clarity to avoid confusion, but I could see now that it could come up.
Yes, all of the lives are up on the Patreon. As soon as I get off live stream, I just upload them to the Patreon where y'all can watch it, because I just have to keep them behind the Patreon. I just have to keep them behind the paywall because my ops are all... Two, the ops like to clip chimp me and put me up on Reddit so the white folks them could kiki and kaka. I ain't with that. I built a little bit differently. So I just put the live streams so that them that won't be ops, y'all have to at least pay $2 to see and clip chimp me.
I apologize for not providing the depth that the situation deserved, and I hope that this message can reflect my genuine remorse.
What depth can you provide when you think that the stereotype of black men have larger penises, so black women have larger vagina cavities? Like, what more depth can you provide in such foolishness? I also have to be transparent in my statements earlier. I thought we were going to get a well-nuanced discussion on this. I don't think we're going to find it. I don't think we're going to find it here because Foreign seems to be on fuckery today.
And my commitment to learning and growing from this. And my intention was never to spread misinformation or to hurt anyone, but I understand that by bringing up those...
Yeah, that lawyer definitely write this, bro.
And for that, I am truly, truly sorry. I acknowledge that I made a significant mistake, and I just want to own up to everything.
I'm waiting for her to say exactly what it is that she did wrong, and she just doesn't say it. The only thing going through my mind when watching this sad excuse for an apology is how the hell do you get here? And yeah, the reason why this all happened in the first place is because of this. It all started here.
How you get here is through a low integration of people from a minority community or from a community who stylistically and from musically that you would love to either take things from actively already or that you actively already listen to, but you don't actually have any friends from that community. You just like the famous people from that community. So you can still harbor or have a lot of these thoughts that make those people seem lesser or like they're just a character in a video game that you're participating in. That's how we get here.
This guy made a video how he's talking about Drew Aflufalo, how she's literally getting married, and she's like, she's preventing you from getting married.
While she's getting married.
Yeah, she's telling you to hate all men when she's marrying a man.
Yep.
And what the? This guy looks creepy as hell.
Yeah, he's scary looking.
Yeah, scary. But anyways, also like she's like if they hate whatever the red pill version of a man is, she is the red pill version of a female.
100.
And after bringing up Drew unprovoked, they got themselves into a situation that snowballed into them bringing up black women unprovoked.
So the podcast Under the Influence just came out with an apology video. If you don't know, they've been getting canceled for the last couple of weeks, which is valid.
I absolutely love when I hate something and then all of a sudden everybody else starts hating them simultaneously. That's exactly how I'm feeling about this Under the Influence podcast, because ever since they got on that microphone and had the audacity to say, "Who is Lauryn Hill?" I was done with their asses.
But beyond all of that, how did we get here as a community? How did the Korean and black community, one that has had solidarity in the past, get to this point right here in time? And for that, we need some context. Lord, we can start with K-pop.
Before we start with K-pop, I would say that the solidarity came from us both realizing and accepting that we come from a minority culture and we are minorities within, we'll say, America. So that's where the unity came from. However, with the newfound resurgence of Korean, we'll say, culture and just being a Korean citizen becoming more of, we'll say, a main stage presence, they now believe that they lead or have created culture that they actually have subverted and appropriated. So now when they speak on certain shit, they speak from a place like they never actually were commodifying parts of another person's culture and acting like it was their culture from the very beginning. So this is where we get into these positions of people speaking like, well, who the fuck is Lauryn Hill? While having a whole aesthetic that is built off of a culture that Lauryn Hill comes from. Like, it's very funny that you see these things happen quite often where you'll see people take from another culture, have taken it from long enough that they feel like it's their culture now because it's just an average thing that everybody in their culture now does. But that thing that still comes from another place. And then they speak as if they've never taken anything from that culture and begin to demonize or talk down about the culture that they initially took from. I don't know what you call it, but it's some form of cognitive dissonance for this to happen, I swear.
Damn, that's loud. It's not even an homage. It's like a parody. It's a caricature. They use anti-blackness against the darker skinned members of K-pop groups and said dark skinned members are lighter than me. You have Indians, Southern Indians, that are far darker than me that will still levy anti-black slurs at someone like me because they feel like they have a claim to it because they have had those very slurs levied at them. That's the reason why we need solidarity. Because we experience the same bigotry and the bigotries of systems. Like the same institutionalized systemic racism that I face, even though they won't face it the same way, maybe not in the same severity, they will face it. Big up yourself 10 rings. You must be in my mind because guess what? What happened on the UTI podcast, the UTI podcast is indicative of a much larger problem.
What are you saying?
All right, we starting this really heavy.
You're
Why?
funny.
Why?
Say it to my face.
Why?
Say it to my face.
Okay, you
Okay.
face it. Okay.
Say it to my face.
Okay.
You're lucky cop. This nigga let go.
All right.
You're lucky.
But actually, English is a little bit more convenient for me, so it would...
She's starting talking English. This ain't bad, right? It ain't. She ain't going to Guyana Grande yet.
Kiyomi, get your ass in here. Come on, girl.
Watch your boy. Watch your boy here. Watch your boy.
speak English, but I know you can't, so...
Oh, for real?
Why? Why? Why?
Oh, for real?
Blood, how? How, blood? How?
Oh, for real? What up, dog? What up, dog? What up?
My neck. Oh, God. My neck.
It just, why is, it speaks to the amount of, we'll say, influence and export of black culture from America to the rest of the world, is why this is the first voice that they reach for, is because though they may get all the movies from white America and from Hollywood, hip-hop and what its byproducts and auxiliary products produce and put out into the world are far more pervasive than any of that shit. So yeah, the voice he thinks to reach for is a caricature of what he thinks a black person sounds like from America. That's where that shit comes from. Does it make it correct? No. But there is there's not enough acknowledgement of how influential black African Americans and Africans in the diaspora as a whole are upon the rest of the world. And it's really a problem. And this is where the colorism and the hate for black people just, it blows my mind sometimes, because it's like the amount of shit that we've given to the world while the world wants to act like they didn't get it from us and like they've just come up with it on their own, and then want to be disrespectful to us and put us down like we're lesser. It really blows my mind sometimes that it's just like, how are we here even to this day?
Oh, for real? What up, dog? What up, dog? What up, dog? You from the States? God damn!
How, dog? How? This my whole entire understanding of American culture is literally Friday. Oh, God. Now, this one is rough. I ain't gonna lie, chat. This one is rough. I actually kind of pre-screened this one because like I knew this one was gonna be a little rough. This one's gonna hurt. There ain't no lube on this one. I can't even spit to start this one. I ain't gonna lie. Oh, God. This one is kind of rough. It happened so quick, but it hurts so much.
Do what I gotta do. This is how we do. You niggas better know.
Even if it's a cover right, bro, you could have said something else, blood. The white people them been finding ways to cover up inside the songs that they singing. You know how hard it is for white people to sing a Travis Scott song? Neighbors, fellas, brothers, seriously.
This is cold on them rap monks.
That's supposed to be like a fade? Bro, what's going on? Can y'all tell me? Okay, DS Ken, like who's RM? I know RM Brown. I don't know this. I don't know them. Who is this man? His name used to be Rapmon? This is me leaving and dissociating with my own body. His name is Rap Monster? This for BTS? I heard about BTS. Y'all let this happen? Because this didn't happen on my watch. Please pull up Rap Monster's debut BTS photo. All right. Rap Monster debut photo. Oh, I know you lie.
Like I said, I don't think we're going to get the nuanced approach in all of this that this deserves.
What? Don't play with me today. Don't play with me today. Bro, how his texture even get like that? Hold the on! There's some knops in that. I didn't know it was this bad. Y'all out your goddamn mind. Original beat by J. Cole? Wait, man made it. Hold on. So he just rapped over beats? I'm sorry, I wasn't online, Baby Blue. I didn't know this was going on. I didn't know that's how y'all was getting down. This dude made a whole drought season 1 through 3 rapping on beats, and y'all just let that slide. Honestly, y'all been moving like OTF. Because personally, if I was online, I wouldn't let this happen. Me personally, I would have appointed myself judge, jury, and executioner, and I would have been there. And this wasn't gonna happen. Not on Foreign Watch, no way. Y'all carrying on like OTF. Like when atrocities like this has happened, none of y'all just slide, bro. Ain't no way this man was in half blackface, rapping on.
I have to be honest. Foreign doing a live is completely departed from actually the thoughtful video essays he's done. Because even just saying sliding like OTF, literally they have a federal murder charge on them right now because they did slide. So you can't say that. And then just you're doing more of the banter instead of actually dealing with the topic because you're on this nigga for saying nigga, which fair enough, but he's making a mixtape and you're like, oh, he's using nigga beats. Like, I don't get how you do these two things at the same time. Like, this is definitely performative on his behalf as well. Like, am I gonna find a good source on this, or am I just gonna have to clean up everybody's fuckery as I comment on it? Because he's doing fuckery as well right now. This shit don't make no sense, like, at all.
Beats and this boy ain't hold nothing. Like, he ain't hold nothing but bags of money. Ain't no way. P-Dog. Hold on. Ain't no way. What the fuck? Come on, man. Oh, God. Huh? Jesus Christ be offense. Actually, I take that back. This ain't that bad. He ain't as bad as this one over with the half blackface. He ain't as bad as this one over here.
It's not even half blackface. Like, oh, there's actual blackface that we have to deal with in this world. And you want to call this blackface, which is crazy. That's crazy.
As you can see, South Korea obviously has an issue with anti-blackness and cultural appropriation. South Korea doesn't even have an ethnic discrimination law. I myself have South Korean skincare products like the snail snot, but they also have like a lot of bleaching creams. There's an anti-blackness there not only towards external black people, but also themselves. They're trying to literally bleach whatever piece of blackness that they have. At the same time, they appropriate culture so that they could perform the culture in some new minstrel weed. I don't understand how you all let it get this far. The UTI podcast is known for some other takes just like this.
Like when foreigners go to Korea expecting this, and it's like scenes from K-dramas, but this is what happens. And then it's like pictures of her crying. She has like bruises on her arm, and it's like it's your own fault. You have taste of it's your own fault. You have taste in men.
I'm so glad that this podcast is being called out because they've been problematic for a long time. Imagine shaming a DV survivor saying you chose wrong. This is exactly why I make videos warning other women in Korea to be careful. The Under the Influence podcast said that it was her own fault and she just chose wrong.
That's right. They had a whole victim blaming DV apology going on. So we should have seen this coming, right? We should have seen what you're about to see coming. And trigger warnings, because this is by far some of the most gross misogynoir, eugenics, phrenology. I don't even know what to put this in, because not only is it an attack on black women, but it's also an attack on Asian men and black men and Asian women too.
Yeah. You guys, okay, I'm gonna say something kind of wild, but it's because I saw it somewhere. But I don't know if we might have to cut it out. But anyways, someone said that the reason why some girls' vagina is tighter than others is because,
Dog said less used.
No. It has nothing to do with that. They said that it's because, like, ethnicity-wise, like black men have, are known to have larger, so therefore the women have
that makes sense.
Bigger holes.
Oh God. All right. It's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack with that, right? Essentially, you're propagating the myth. Like, you're perpetuating this myth, BBC myth, classical myth. Honestly, up there with some of like the best Greek mythology out there. Industries are perpetuated and built upon the foundation of the BBC myth, of the animalistic black man, of the primal sexual us. That perception of us has also extended to black women and femmes to make it seem as though that genetically, essentially, we are inextricably linked. It puts a moral judgment on the black women and femmes, because essentially now they are characterizing black women and femmes in a way where you cannot engage with them if you are not a black man, because it's like a puzzle piece, yours will not fit. And also making the black man, this of course, alloying corruptive property and entity, that if you engage with the black man, that's a puzzle piece that does not fit you, and therefore you have broken yourself. I know white women that have confided in me that they can't let certain white people know that black people know them. Not even have sex with them, not even, engage with them in any type of meaningful manner, but just know them. Because if the word gets out that you was hanging with them, persona non grata, white men in particular, they brand you. They brand you as you've been black. You've gone black.
Remember when Donald Sterling got upset with his Asian girlfriend at the time, talking about why he gotta hang out with those black guys, while he was the owner of the LA Clippers, team full of black men that he was paying good money for, and ended up having to sell his team. Granted, made more money having to be forced into a sale of the team, but still, remember what he was saying about her during that time, just for her loose association with black people.
I could imagine that it operates the same way on queer lines as well. That's also what's going on when the white dude then turns around and says, okay, I can't engage as a white man with this white woman that is engaged with this black dude because of my own insecurities and my thought process of what a black man is. And that makes it worse for everybody, right? That makes it absolutely terrible for everyone involved. It hurts us too. Black men in the chat, I know some of y'all in here that might enjoy the masculine massage of being a black man and being perceived as animalistic. It ain't it though. It really ain't it.
It's so not it. It's ridiculous that, like, at first you kind of feel like this thing of like, yeah, cool, they want me. Like, it's nice. Like, you kind of get like this confidence boost. I'm not gonna lie. But after being here in Scotland for as long as I have, being in the UK, being in Europe, like, being fetishized for who you think I am and what you think I am is actually such a turnoff to me that even attempting to date outside of my race or dating outside of my race has been harder because of this, because now I have this worry of, is it actually me you like, or what you think I am is what you're fucking falling in love with or enjoying? And having to have this kind of like secondary thought and like inner conversation, a monologue with myself when dealing with some people, because it's like, well, is it actually real, or is Shorty just currently not said the wrong thing to let me know that she's not the right person that I should be with, and I probably should date within my race? But then that makes me think that, no, that's not how love is supposed to work. I should be able to be with whatever person I feel like is for me and that I would like to be with. So it doesn't matter about race. But then you get into these situations where the large group of the people that you are around seem to look at you as an object to be fetishized, or the amount of people that tell me, oh, like, you're cool because you're black. And I'm just like, how did this even become a fucking thing? Or like, oh, you just look cool. Like, why do I just look cool? I'm not doing anything else different than anybody else. And it just really blows my mind that there are a lot of people that lean into these stereotypes or the ways that people look at them like this and just like, oh, no, it's okay. It doesn't really matter, versus I've actually had to go out of my way to like correct people, or there's people that I've cut off in my time being here because I'm just like, you're weird. Or the time I did spend on Hinge when I was first trying to like date online, which dating online is, I'm for it, but it's very hard because the people I was running into, like, they were white women from over here who knew I was American, but would want to talk to me about American politics and like race-based issues and like just argue with me. Like, I was like, the fuck is going on here? This is so weird. Like, I'm on a dating app and you asking me about gun policies in America. Like, shorty, I'm a black American around the world. Clearly, I have a wider, like, understanding of why we probably do need different gun laws in America and what the fuck's going on in my country. I'm not like, you're preaching to the converted, but you don't see me more than a sounding board for your ideals, your ideas of what you think you wanted us to discuss. It was really fucking weird. It was a terrible time. I'm glad I'm off of those.
I could tell you that.
The problem with people who think and believe like Esther on the Under the Influence podcast is that they don't think that people care enough about black women to call them out when they say things that are discriminatory and problematic. She thought that joke was appropriate because she didn't think anybody would care about us, because people are allowed to slander us and to talk about our body parts as if we are less than human. As a matter of fact, she thought that because no one cares about black women globally, her joke would have been deemed as funny to the majority of the people who consume their content, including black men. In that apology video, one of the things that was stated was, we have too many people that watch us, we should be more cautious about what we say. You didn't know that? You ain't know that? You ain't know that? The problem is not that you should be more cautious. The problem is, oh, we've even expanded into people who would care about certain things like that. Oh, we're not just talking to the type of people that are okay with bigotry. My bad. Our videos have gone to a place where people might actually care about these things. It wasn't that you said it at all. It was you underestimated your reach.
Seeing so many black voices come.
That's where I will say, where in the first video I did on this topic, where RM on whatever New Year's Day or whatever was like, yo, I've had a thought where I used to think back in the day, my thoughts and what I would say really weren't going to hurt anybody and didn't really influence anything. But moving forward, I would like to care and do these things. And that's because the realization of how far your reach and your influence go really does change how either you'll operate as a person or that the type of content and stuff that you'll put out in the world. And that's exactly why not only am I trying to be as impartial and level-headed in covering these two videos that I'm covering, but also why in any time I've said anything on this channel or any of the stuff that I do say online, I try and make sure that I have an understanding that if somebody wants to pull up my fucking shit, I've said this shit and I can stand on it, and I've done it in a way that has been unproblematic, or the attempt to be unproblematic. Could I still be problematic? Sure. But I'm very aware that even with the small amount of people that support me today, I'm still influencing somebody, and somebody might wake up tomorrow and decide to walk onto the world with whatever viewpoint or sentiments that I have put into one of these videos, and I'm responsible for that shit. So I try and make sure that I'm putting out as best of a message as I can, or giving the best, we'll say, nuanced explanation on a topic, because you don't actually understand how influential you are or how far your reach goes until you fuck it up. So if you're smart about what you're doing the entire time, you don't really have to worry about that. And that's been my approach. So when I seen that bit from RM in the other video, I was like, fair enough. From this point on, bro's not really being problematic or anything. There's nothing I can really say, because you're gonna have to pick a point in time where you know you was doing some fuckery, stop doing fuckery, and decide to change and move forward, not doing fuckery. That has to happen. And if somebody wants to always be like, oh, but I remember when you was doing fuckery back in the day, like, you're still a bad person. It's like, mate, like, there's really bad people out in the world, and then there's people that have done dumb racist shit that have moved on from that point of their life. And I would like to focus on the people really doing bad shit, not somebody who at a time when they were unfucking, best term I could have is uncultured, because you just didn't know enough about the culture. So you were uncultured at the time, know better, and don't make those same mistakes anymore. Cool, let's just move the fuck on, because I don't have time for this shit.
You underestimated your reach.
Seeing so many Black voices come forward about how damaging Esther's comments were, I can't just be like, yeah, well, everyone's got the point already. I think it's important. I want to stress to the Black community that this is not the view and opinion of all Asian Americans. Like, I'm sure you guys know that, but I really want to stress that. And the reason why a lot of us don't agree with that or support that, besides the fact that it's blatantly harmful and racist and disgusting, is the fact that a lot of us do know what it's like to have disgusting things said about our lady parts. Which I think that's why it's so shocking to me that an Asian woman would even say something like that.
It's obvious I'm speaking with a wide brush when I say this, but it is youth of a certain age, predominantly between the ages of 15 to 30, that have grown up in a more culturally homogeneous society due to the internet. And because of that, this is where you will have kids now in a larger rate than when I was growing up that are like, oh, well, like, all my friends use the N-word, so I used it too. And it's like, that's not how that works, mate. Because if your friends allow you to use it, that's cool and all. But like, if you use it in a room full of people that aren't your friends, you can still get punched up. And you have no right to be upset because you want to say, oh, that's how I grew up and that's how we do things around my way. No, that's how your friends with lack of, we'll say, self-respect and regard for actually that word have allowed you access to a thing that will get you fucked up in other rooms, and you just think that that's okay because a couple of your Black friends have done it. And it's just also with how I would say a lot of younger women in today's time have grown up, where the imagery of what Black women typically look like is a normalcy for what beauty standards are becoming in modern times. However, those beauty standards are typically from altered women with plastic surgery who are considered to be the beauty standards. So then you grow up thinking that these aesthetics physically and fashion-wise are ones that you have come up with that are just natural to your existence, but they actually come from a place. And because you have a lack of care and respect, because of that's the dynamic you grow up in, this is why these things can be said, while also being an Asian woman who, when dating white men, predominantly, you're going to get fetishized because I don't know what it is, and it's not all white men, but a large contingent of white men and also Black men and men that date in the Asian diaspora, they fetishize them as if they're different, if they're like a softer woman, or if they're like a better version of what women could be. And it's like, that's not how this works, bro. Like, you're fucking a dickhead if you think that's how it works. But this is why I think these things happen in today's time, at least my 2 cents on it.
Because as an Asian woman, we get comments, disgusting comments all the time about how our vajayjays are sideways.
I've heard that jokingly and disparagingly from...
They say it's a term in the UK that I had never heard of before, but it's called JI. I'm not going to actually say the actual word because it's crazy. It's crazy word. But it starts with letter J, and then they call it an I after. And I'm just like, oh, this is just a ridiculous term. Like, how do we even get here?
Actually Asian men. I thought that was just like one dude that probably just, terminally incelic. But to know that is something that has gone across lines. I do assume that they trying to also make racist remarks pertaining to slanted eyes.
Or that they're tight because we're Asian. I've had that yelled at me in the street before. Like, oh, you an Asian, you one of them bad Asians, is probably sideways, huh? I've had tons of those in my comments before.
I'm mad that she made him, like, she made that example sound black.
I've had all kinds of disparaging, disgusting things about my anatomy told to me, which is why it's so baffling and disgusting that Esther would participate in saying something like that about other POC. And I just don't understand how black women even came up in this conversation.
That's what I'm talking about too. Black girls just exist, you know, black women just be existing. And then all of a sudden, like, they just make up hypotheticals, like, oh God, I don't even understand how they get there. Floor, I didn't realize this, but it makes sense. People that get catcalled by white men inside the chat also, is this a thing? Why do white men think that we catcall? What? Huh? Verbal blackface for real, fam. Like, we got all sorts of white people you never see. Yeah, I be hearing, I know this for sure. Queer men in general, as Sid is saying.
That's facts like a motherfucker. Queer men using feminine black scent while just you could be a gay man. There's no reason for your voice to be pitched tonally in any direction besides the one that you naturally have, but it becomes a thing, especially like, and we'll say like the drag community or in some parts of the trans community, like there's a voice that becomes assumed, and I hear it so much, and it's just like, why is this a thing? Like, I don't understand it. Like, being gay did not mean you need to come with a voice change. Being trans, whatever you wanted to be, did not mean you need to come with the voice change. But there's a particular accent that they choose to use sometimes that's just like, where did this come from?
Queer men in general, black, white, everything outside of and in between, all shades. As soon as like you want to communicate queerness verbally, the feminine black scent comes out. Oh God! I don't get that. I don't get that. I'm not equipped for that conversation. It's not my conversation to have, but it needs to be had. And when it happens, I could be right there and I'd be in the comments like, oh, okay, thanks. Thank you for that. Silent repost. My very terminally cis and het take on that is essentially just essentializing how much the black femme means to the femininity experience. That you can be degraded at the same time as being revered enough to be the archetype and the prototype for femininity. Your body, from Kim Kardashian appropriating a Sarah Bartman to your very speech and accent and vernacular, all of that at the same time. At the same time, you will be denigrated for that very blackness. It could be both at the same time. They could hate you for being black, but they could love the black too on them. I want to highlight this thread from the Asian masculinity subreddit. The conversation starts about a video that the host saw that apparently black women have larger holes because of the black male stereotype. She then proceeds to ponder if that's why Asian females have smaller holes since Asian men have smaller penises. Practically the entire cast agrees / cosigns this eugenics BS, with one of the guys, Wotak, being the only one who pushes back on the stereotype. It really be your own people. Look at Chan saying, it's just evolution, bro. Sad. Used to watch this podcast every now and then, as I thought they had some interesting conversations about Asian culture, but fuck them if they want to co-sign these eugenic theories. That is a harrowing but extremely insightful post, because Asian men weren't even the target of that calumny, right? They weren't even the people that the shots were intended for, and they still get hit. It's like buckshot, like they still get hit. Big up yourself, what was said, the archetype for femininity or sassy behavior. Well, I mean, they, like a lot of folks, especially when they're being misogynist and misogynist.
Sassy behavior is just a terminology that again comes out of, we'll say, the black female and queer and LGBT community, that like, it's just an extension of some more shit that they created.
misogynoirist equate black femininity with sassiness as well. There is a solidarity that is sorely missed between, in particular, Asian and black folks. There needs to be more of this. More and more, it seems as though like we're allowing schisms like this to actually fester in folks like Esther and manifest into a enmity, intimacy and bloodshed between two minority groups. And that's literally the operation of white supremacy. It's white supremacy at work. I said before, power is only powerful when it's invisible, and it's invisible here. You have black eugenics at play. You have Asiaphobia being levied from a Korean person to other Asians just as a casualty of war, not even a target. You have misogynoir levied against black women and femmes, bioessentialism, all of that wrapped up. And it serves nobody involved but white supremacy.
All right. I wish that in this video we got Foreign that appears a couple of times in this video, actually quite a bit, where he as is making very cogent arguments, actually speaking from a nuanced position, and actually not just kind of just here for the levity and the jokes. Because at certain times he was just here for the levity and jokes, and I'm just like, man, I don't have time for this either. Because to me, I'm a person that's having to grow up in America's Deep South. I'm a person that's grown up in the West Coast, where in the Deep South, racism is very overt and in your face. But in the West Coast, racism is very quiet. They say the mean thing very quietly and the nice thing very loudly. Versus in the South, they say the mean thing very, very loudly and the nice thing very quietly. And that's where, in my lived experience, having to continue to deal with these topics. And yes, this is a thing I have to continue to deal with. Like a couple months ago, I was actually called the N-word after one of my shows. Had to deal with it twice in the same night. Like the racism that I still have to deal with, I don't want to have to go through these topics because it's just long. And I'm not in a position where I feel like I can shift the conversation, nor do I really feel like anybody cares about my 2 cents on it. But I was asked directly by one of the people that supports the channel to check these things out. Well, the first video, and then I was already going to check this video out because I assumed that this creator was going to do a real deep dive, just not kind of shooting the shit with his friends on his YouTube live. And then this is where we're at now. So I've had to kind of still be more mature than I wanted to be because I thought somebody else would be doing the maturity thing for me. Regardless, I'm tired of having to have this conversation because I just don't want to have to keep explaining my black existence to people, and it gets fucking frustrating that over and over we keep getting into these places, but over and over people want to take from what my black culture and my black existence produces and then participate in the overall, like he was saying, soft power of what white supremacy and racism is. And it's just like, this shit is long and I can't be the only person that fucking sees it. But again, we are here again. I've done what I could. If there is an actual video that somebody wants me to check out after this, I'd be happy to do so. But the same type of energy I have for this one, I'm not happy to do it, but it needs to be done. And to create a fair and balanced position on the situation, this is what I have to do, I feel like, because otherwise what I feel like I built is a brand for this channel when it comes to all the other sections of the stuff that I cover on this channel. If I was to leave this out, I'm not doing the full service of what I feel like I've done with how I built this channel, where I cover what I want, I talk about what I want, and I don't hold any punches. I don't care who it is. It could be your fucking favorite. They've done something wrong, or I don't like it. I'm fucking saying it. And if you don't like it, fucking leave, because I don't care, but things need to be said and be covered sometimes, and that's where we're at. So that's my 2 cents on this. If there's more you want me to cover or want to have a deeper discussion, see me in the comments. Don't be a bell end. Thank you for your time. Please hit that like, subscribe, Patreon's in the description. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out of here.